Okay, I'm going to take a couple minutes and review what we've been discussing in the classroom, and that is the slope-intercept form of an equation, which is y equals mx plus b. And in this equation, m stands for slope, and your b stands for your y-intercept. Remember, your y-intercept is where your line crosses the y-axis. So if we were to graph one of these equations, let's say y equals 1/2 x plus 2, we would need to go ahead and pick out our slope, which is m. And in this case, our slope is 1/2 because slope is the number that is always in front of x. And then we would need to pick out our y-intercept, or our b. And in this equation, our y-intercept is positive 2. So if we were to graph this, you first need to graph your b, or your y-intercept, which is positive 2. So I'm going to go on my y-axis, which is this line running up and down. I'm going to start at the origin, and I'm going to count up positive 2. 1, 2, and put a point. And that is our y-intercept. So now that we have our y-intercept graphed, I can use that point to graph my slope. And by graphing our slope, that will create more points on the line. And remember, slope is your rise over your run. So for this equation, our rise is 1 and our run is positive 2. So from my y-intercept, or this blue point on the graph, I'm going to rise 1 and run positive 2 and put a point. And I go to the right because it's a positive 2. Remember, the right side is positive, the left side is negative. Now that I have another point, I can start from my new point and create another point. So from the purple point, I'm going to rise 1, run 1, 2, put a point. And I can keep going. Rise 1, run 1, and 2, and put a point. I'll go ahead and do one more. Rise 1, run 2, and put a point. Now I'm going to get rid of my extra marks here on my graph, so I just have my points remaining. Then I can go ahead and connect these points with a line. Make sure that your line extends beyond your points, and make sure you have arrows on each end, because this is an infinite line that goes on forever. It's not a line segment. So you can see that this line is a positive line because it is going up. Okay, so now let's look at something that we are not familiar with. We've been graphing this equation, but if they already give you the line on a graph, you can write an equation from that line using y equals mx plus b. So we're going to be looking for our m, or our slope, and then we're also going to be looking on our graph for our b, or our y-intercept. And I'm just going to abbreviate that. So if I want to know what my y-intercept is, all I need to do is look to see where the line crosses my y-axis. And remember, your y-axis is the line that's running up and down. Okay? I'm going to go ahead and highlight the y-axis in orange. Okay, so here's our y-axis right here. And we want to see where the purple line is crossing that y-axis. And to me, it looks like it's crossing right about here. So if we count up on our graph, starting at the origin, that's 1, 2. So our y-intercept is a positive 2. Now that we have our y-intercept, we need to figure out our slope, which is m. Remember, slope is rise over run. So we can use our graph and pick 2 points and use rise over run to find our slope. So from my first point, I'm going to rise, and then I'm going to run to my second point. And in this case, I rise 3, and I run positive 2. So my slope is 3 over 2. And I can plug this into my equation. Y equals, and then I need to plug in my slope for m, so 3 over 2. And then you can put x behind your slope. And then I need to plug in my y-intercept, or my b. And in this case, my y-intercept is 2, so I'm going to put plus 2. Now we have found an equation for a line that was already graphed. That's all for today. Go back to Google Classroom and you will complete the quiz over slope-to-intercept form. Have a great day.